Let's get right to it. J. Cole's The Fall Off is out.
Jump, I spit phrases that'll thrill you. You're nobody to somebody that know the real you. Remember light-skinned Jermaine, swore he knew the game. Got a record deal and he took it to the brain. Remember light-skinned Jermaine before all of the fame. Traded in his soul for that Rockefeller chain.
Bitch, heard you say I ain't real, that's your belief, huh, bitch? Well, look, I'm back in the Ville so we can see, punk, bitch. What? That helped me understand the power in love, the choice to be the bigger man. I wanna say from the heart, I apologize. What if?
What?
Bruh. Oh shit. Here we go again.
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
And after really sitting with it, the most I can give this album is a 7 out of 10. To me, it sounds like a regular J. Cole album. Lyrically solid, but the replay value is low, the complexity is average, and honestly, the whole thing left me a little confused. It felt all over the place, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Cole was biting off Kendrick, pulling from Good Kid, Mad City, and GNX, but never really making it his own. I'll admit, I was tempted to be nice since this is supposed to be his last album, but Cole didn't even lean all the way into the aging backwards / I'm still the greatest narrative like I predicted. Instead, he spent more time bragging about his humility in his feature run than actually crushing the competition. He did everything I said he would, but he didn't go as hard as I expected. And then I checked the comments section. Cole's fans calling this an instant classic, saying it's the best album they've ever heard, and even trying to police the reactors, forcing their narrative and demanding everyone see Cole as the GOAT. That's when I knew I had to be the villain again. I don't care if you call me a hater. Save your energy. I'm here to break down the real contradictions, the borrowed ideas, and the moments where Cole's message gets lost in the mix. Let's get into it, line by line, layer by layer.
The fall off, 2/6/26, the real is back. If Cole is the GOAT, ain't leaving your lips. Don't you ever bother opening them again. Jermaine. He rapped his story in reverse. The video was going backwards. What do you know about the Ville?
Why are you in my house?
Answer the boy, don't play with me right now, boy. Jermaine. The fall off out February 6th.
That page is blank.
Cause you should already know the real is back. Jermaine.
Ruthlessly clear about what J. Cole is attempting with What If. This isn't just a touching tribute to Biggie and Pac. This man is pulling a bootleg, reincarnated rapping using Tupac flow and Biggie. In my ears, this was corny. This is one of the most audacious acts of historical revisionism in modern hip-hop, wrapped in the language of wisdom and maturity, packaged with mournful melodies, and sold as profundity. Cole is essentially grave robbing two of rap's most legendary figures to justify his own retreat from competition, all while positioning himself as the enlightened elder who learned the lesson that Big and Pac supposedly couldn't grasp. The sheer audacity of it would be impressive if it weren't so transparently self-serving and so fundamentally dishonest about what it's actually doing. The song opens with Cole speaking as himself, setting the frame with words that sound universal and healing on the surface. When he says, "This for everybody out there that ever fell out with somebody you love," he's casting a wide net, inviting every listener to map their own broken relationships onto the narrative he's about to unfold. It's a clever rhetorical move because it makes the song feel like it's about all of us, about human connection and regret writ large. But underneath that generous framing is something far more calculated. Cole is softening the ground, making the song about us so that when he gets to his actual agenda, his own self-justification feels more relatable and less nakedly self-interested. He's creating emotional common ground so we'll be more sympathetic to where he's ultimately heading. Then comes the line, famous as a motherfucker / just to look back and, yeah / damn, it didn't have to go like that.
It had to go like that.
To go like that. And right here, Cole starts establishing the thesis that fame itself was somehow the villain, that success and ego destroyed what could have been preserved. He's suggesting that the very achievement of becoming legendary created the conditions for tragedy. It's a seductive idea, one that positions the curse of success as a kind of scapegoat for choices that were far more complex and rooted in actual circumstances. But Cole needs this frame because he's about to spend the entire song suggesting that if only Big and Pac had been wiser, more emotionally mature, more like him, they'd still be alive. He's setting up fame as the external force that corrupted what should have been brotherhood, rather than acknowledging the real structural violence, industry manipulation, street politics, and genuine fear that characterized that era. The opening "What If" refrain lands with those mournful R&B harmonies, asking what would happen if the bullshit never got in the way, if we could turn back time and make different choices. On the surface, it's beautiful, wistful, genuinely moving. The chorus has that old school soul ballad quality that makes you want to close your eyes and imagine alternate timelines. But let's be precise about what Cole is defining as bullshit here. He's not talking about structural racism, economic exploitation, the way the music business feeds off Black death and profits from manufactured conflict. No, the bullshit in Cole's telling is simply ego, miscommunication, street pressure, labels, media narratives, and personal neglect. This framing is extraordinarily convenient because it makes the solution simple and clean. Just apologize, just talk it out, just be mature like J. Cole. It ignores all the actual complexity of what Big and Pac were navigating and reduces decades of hip-hop history to a therapy session that never happened. It's hip-hop filtered through the lens of someone who wants to believe that his own choices represent the highest form of wisdom rather than just one option among many, and possibly not even a particularly brave one. When Cole steps fully into Biggie's voice with "What's up, Pac?", he's making a bold artistic choice to strip away stage names and personas, to make it Christopher talking to Tupac rather than Biggie talking to Tupac. It's an effective device that lowers the temperature from legendary rap war to "we were friends first." The casual greeting is meant to disarm us, to remind us of the humanity underneath the mythology. But here's where Cole's manipulation really begins in earnest, because now he gets to control both sides of this imaginary conversation. He's the puppet master making both legends dance to his tune, and that tune just happens to justify every choice J. Cole has made in his own career, particularly his 2024 retreat from Kendrick Lamar. The first verse continues with Cole as Biggie referencing the infamous track that shook the entire culture. When he writes about hearing the record that just dropped "It's Bubbling" and wondering when the love stopped, he's channeling Biggie's supposed confusion about how they went from brothers to this level of hate on wax. The line, "Maybe I should,"
Hit him up, I'm like, maybe I should.
the actual street politics, the actual structural forces that made trust nearly impossible in that environment. The verse then deals with Pac's prison stint and Biggie's failure to maintain contact, and this is where Cole tries to take some accountability through Biggie's voice. While you was locked, I shoulda wrote you, / but life happens, promo, mad shows to do, / still no excuse, I didn't do what I was supposed to. It's Cole framing that silence as the beginning of Pac's feeling of abandonment, and he blames the industry grind for not doing the basic friend thing, check on your man. This admission sounds like emotional maturity, like Cole using Biggie to model accountability, but notice that this accountability only exists in a fantasy scenario. Cole rarely demonstrates this kind of self-criticism in his actual career with his actual peers. He's far more comfortable admitting fault through dead men's voices than through his own. The line, and maybe that's what provoked you, / to use your vocals to speak my name with a negative tone, reframes the entire hit 'em up era as pain plus neglect rather than pure hatred. It's Cole's way of saying that the aggressive diss tracks weren't born from malice, but from a feeling of abandonment. From Pac sitting alone in a cell, watching Biggie's career rise while feeling forgotten. And yes, there's psychological truth in that. But Cole is also using this dynamic to create a parable about his own situation with Kendrick. When Kendrick stepped away from the spotlight for those cave years, focusing on family while Cole was hanging with Drake, performing together, looking cozy on stage, Cole wants to suggest that Kendrick might have looked at him funny, might have seen those subliminal shots in tracks like First Person Shooter as signs that Cole had moved to the other side. It's Cole trying to generate sympathy for Biggie's position by implying, "I was just living my life. I didn't mean to make you feel abandoned," which is exactly how he wants people to view his own choices during Kendrick's absence. The section about perception of betrayal continues this theme. "You maybe started looking at me funny. Perhaps you maybe felt that I betrayed you or played you, or thought that I knew about that setup and could have saved you." Cole is capturing the moment trust flips into suspicion, which is arguably the real root of most beefs. He's acknowledging that from Pac's point of view, Biggie's success plus silence looked like exploitation or betrayal, maybe even complicity in the setup that nearly killed him. And yes, that paranoia was real. But Cole is using the complexity of Pac's paranoia to justify his own retreat from beef by suggesting sometimes it's bigger than rap. Sometimes the conspiratorial thinking and the street politics and the industry forces mean the wise move is to disengage entirely, which would be a legitimate position if Cole applied it consistently, but he doesn't. He only discovers this philosophy when facing top-tier competition. When Cole writes, "Or maybe that made you come out on some war shit / East Coast, West Coast, now media's trying to force it," he's marking the pivot from private hurt to public war. He shows Pac leaving prison in war mode, ready for destruction, and the media turning it into a coastal conflict brand because war sells more than reconciliation. It's a critique of outlets for exploiting and exaggerating the split, which is valid. The media absolutely did feed off this conflict. But Cole frames this in a way that suggests if Pac and Big had just ignored the media, had just stayed focused on each other, none of this would have happened. It's an oversimplification that erases the actual pressure both men were under from labels, from street affiliations, from the economic incentives that made conflict profitable for everyone around them. The next lines drive home Cole's meta message about fandom and dehumanization. Of course it's entertainment, but the world is full of ignoramus / that view the rich and famous as either heroes or villains with no feelings. He's calling out how fans and media reduce real people to caricatures, how they pick sides like sports teams, how they ignore that these are young men with real trauma and fear. And that's true. That binary thinking absolutely feeds beef. People do project their own tribal identities onto artists and then demand they rep their side no matter what. But Cole is also doing some sleight of hand here, because he's preaching no more drama, while simultaneously on the same album dissing local artists in his hometown, saying he'll see them on site. The anti-drama morals apparently only apply at the superstar level, not when Cole is punching down at people the culture doesn't take as seriously. The selective application of this supposed wisdom is what makes it ring hollow. The climax of the first verse comes with, "Not knowing most drama only leads to more killings. Well, fuck that, nigga, I'm hurt."
Remember light skinned Jermaine before all of the fame. Traded in his soul for that Rockefeller chain. You could be lit, had the biggest hit. Travel around the world, fuck the baddest girl. But on some bill shit, your word don't mean
The line, "maybe I should / write you before shit go left," is a clever play on words where right means both right to you and correct the situation. But it's also where Cole starts building his central argument, that the wise move, the mature move, the Cole move would have been to send a letter instead of retaliating with bars. He's using Biggie's voice to establish that restraint in the face of disrespect is actually the highest form of strength, which is a convenient philosophy for someone who just backed down from battle. The verse acknowledges the streets being upset about Pac claiming he had relations with Faith Evans, one of the most inflammatory and personally violating lines in diss track history. Cole captures the external pressure Biggie would have felt, the way the hood wanted vengeance, the way tabloids wanted drama, the way silence in the face of such allegations would have looked like weakness. But then Cole has Biggie say, instead of escalating, at a time when niggas say big, let's decimate him, I'm telling him chill, cause although he violating. And right here is where Cole's entire revisionist project reveals itself most nakedly. He's imagining Biggie actively resisting the script that hip-hop demanded. Retaliate, go harder, feed the war. He's painting restraint as moral strength rather than potential cowardice, which conveniently mirrors his own 2024 playbook. The public apology, the strategic withdrawal, the "I'm too mature for this" posturing. But here's the fundamental dishonesty at the heart of this framing. By implying that Pac and Big died because they didn't move with his level of wisdom, Cole is low-key critiquing them to justify backing out of his own smoke. He's essentially saying, if only these legends had been as enlightened as me, they'd still be alive. Which is not just arrogant, but actually kind of disrespectful to the actual complexity of what they faced. Biggie and Pac weren't dealing with Twitter beef and streaming numbers. They were navigating actual street affiliations, real gang politics, industry figures who had financial incentives for conflict, and a media apparatus that was actively trying to manufacture a coastal war. Cole is retroactively inserting his conflict avoidance philosophy into a situation where the stakes and context were fundamentally different, and he's doing it to make his own choices look wise rather than simply calculated. The verse continues with what should be the emotional core. In my heart, I could never hate him, / I love you. Cole strips away the King of New York armor and gives Biggie a vulnerability he couldn't publicly express in 1996 without being seen as weak. It's meant to suggest that behind all the posturing, there was still genuine love, and that unexpressed love is one of the core tragedies of the whole saga. And yes, that's moving, but it's also Cole over-sanitizing Biggie, turning him into a mouthpiece for Cole's own conflict avoidance philosophy, rather than sitting in the real messiness and contradictions of who Biggie actually was. The real Biggie was complex, sometimes petty, sometimes generous, sometimes scared, sometimes arrogant. Cole's Biggie is just a sensitive soul who needed to communicate better, which flattens the actual human being into a parable. When Cole references the Quad Studios shooting with, "I hope it ain't too late to tell you when you got shot," / "I came to visit you at Bellevue, but you was sleeping," / "They let me peek in, I said a prayer by your bedside." He's folding in reports that Biggie tried to visit Pac in the hospital, but Pac refused to see him. It's Cole's version of, "I wasn't behind that setup," delivered through the language of care and concern. The detail about the prayer, the bandages, the sleeping figure, creates this almost cinematic image of Biggie as a faithful friend trying to show up for his brother. And maybe that's true, but it's also very convenient for Cole's narrative that Biggie gets to be the one extending the olive branch, showing vulnerability, demonstrating the kind of emotional intelligence that Cole wants to be praised for in his own career. The section about warning Pac to watch the company he keeps reads as prescient wisdom in Cole's telling. I'm thinking, dog, I told you, watch the niggas you close to. I know dudes and they won't hesitate to smoke you if shit go left. This frames Biggie as someone who could see the danger coming, who tried to warn his friend and who was ignored. It sets up Pac's later admission that he should have listened, which is all part of Cole's larger project of showing how communication and heeding good advice could have prevented tragedy. But in doing so, Cole is selectively choosing which details to emphasize and which to ignore. He's creating a clean narrative of warning, ignored, consequence, rather than engaging with the actual paranoia, the actual street politics, the actual structural forces that made trust nearly impossible.
Remember he used to wanna make it in the game. Silly cat used to wait for Jay in the rain. Back when he was cool with Dame. Me and that kid that used to rock the low cut.
The climax of the first verse comes with, "Not knowing most drama only leads to more killings. Well, fuck that, nigga, I'm hurt." He draws a straight line from entertainment drama to actual funerals, especially in the 90s climate when bullets were real and readily available. The "I'm hurt" declaration is meant to be the emotional climax, the moment Biggie drops the tough guy mask and centers grief over pride. It's vulnerable, it's real, It's something that rarely happened publicly back then. But Cole is trying to portray himself as the evolved, emotionally intelligent rapper who chooses peace over ego. And the contradiction is that he still engages in aggressive disses when the target is small and powerless, then preaches about drama leading to killing when it's time to explain why he ducked Kendrick. For anyone paying attention, that's not principle. That's PR designed to rebrand an L as moral growth. Then comes a crucial line that ties everything together. I miss my dog, I ain't gotta hide / if I hurt you, I apologize. This is Cole, still in Biggie's voice, fully dropping the macho armor and openly grieving Pac while admitting his own role in the fallout. The I ain't gotta hide part is meant to say, I don't care if the world sees this as weakness. Telling my brother I'm sorry matters more than image. It's supposed to demonstrate a radical vulnerability, a willingness to prioritize brotherhood over reputation. But here's what makes this so calculated. Cole is projecting his own I apologize to Kendrick in public moment onto Biggie, implying that if Big and Pac had moved how he moved, open apology, de-escalation, strategic retreat, they'd still be alive. It's a subtle flex that's almost disrespectful because it uses the dead to justify his 2024 bow out. Cole is rewriting history to make his own retreat look like wisdom rather than fear, and he's doing it by speaking through the mouth of a man who can't push back against this interpretation. The chorus returns with those mournful harmonies, hammering the chord device. This whole track is an alternate timeline fantasy where a few different choices change everything. The Hands of Time imagery nods to classic soul ballads and gives the song that eulogistic, nostalgic feel that makes you want to mourn not just Big and Pac, but every lost relationship. Cole is inviting the listener to mourn universally, to map every friendship they've lost, every crew that fell apart, every city that lost people over beef that could have been solved by a call or a visit or a letter. He's tapping into genuine emotion, real cultural grief, the kind of what-if thinking that everyone engages in after loss. But he's also sliding his own choices into that emotional space, suggesting that his approach, letters, apologies, pulling back, is the solution to a past tragedy. He's centering his current persona as the answer that could have saved hip-hop's most mythic loss, which is extraordinarily arrogant when you really think about it. The second verse flips the perspective entirely, as Cole now inhabits Pac's voice responding to Biggie's imaginary letter. Today was going to Vegas until I opened your letter. I cried through all these pages. Sets the scene on September 7th, 1996, the night Pac was actually killed. But in this alternate reality, the letter intercepts fate and changes his plans entirely. Instead of going to Vegas for the Tyson fight, instead of riding through the Strip with Suge Knight, instead of ending up in the hospital with fatal bullet wounds, Pac cries over Biggie's words and decides to head back to New York to make peace. It's a powerful counterfactual that hits you in the chest because we all know how the real story ended. Cole has Pac crying over the letter, mirroring Biggie's emotional vulnerability from the first verse, which means both legends are now allowed to be soft and reflective instead of hard and guarded. Both get to be human instead of mythological. I'm coming out to New York. I gotta find you in person to look you dead in your eyes and let you know I've been hurting. Represents Pac choosing reconciliation over revenge, choosing to fly into what he perceived as enemy territory, the city he associated with his shooting, with his paranoia, with his fears, as the place of potential healing. Cole drops the Machiavelli war mask entirely and admits the core truth. Behind all the threats and the disses and the hit-em-up venom was just a hurt man who lost his friend. It's meant to show that the beef was never really about East versus West. It wasn't really about who was the better rapper or who had the harder crew. It was about betrayal, about abandonment, about two friends who couldn't communicate through the noise. But here's where Cole's projection becomes almost comically transparent. He has Pac say, "They're moving off pure adrenaline, never knowing for certain." Burton's phrase works both literally, killing him, and metaphorically, ending the show, suggesting the industry is a theater where his death would be part of the spectacle. Cole is warning about the dangers of fame and the industry, which is valid, but he's also using this to sneak diss Kendrick and Drake, painting them as people cashing in on beef while positioning himself as above that economic incentive, which feels insane given that Cole absolutely benefited from the attention around first-person shooter and 7-minute drill, rode the wave of speculation and anticipation, and only discovered his moral compass when the competition got too real. The admission, so in a mist with clenched fists I picked up this war / I know there's money in violence, I know there's profit in war, is supposed to be Pac recognizing that the beef wasn't just emotional, but was monetized by labels, media, and even the artists themselves. Everyone got paid off the drama, and that's true. The East Coast-West Coast war made a lot of people a lot of money. But Cole is using this recognition to throw shade at Kendrick and Drake, whose 2024 conflict pumped streams, generated headlines, created tour demand, and enriched everyone involved. He's painting them as cashing in on violence while positioning himself as the one who rose above that economic temptation. Except Cole did the exact same thing. He participated in that ecosystem. He threw shots.
Hip-hop is competitive, bruh. Let's go.
Let's go, Cole. Turn it up. Light work, like it's PWC.
Why would you diss one of the greatest rappers of your generation with this beat?
It's a cold world. Keep the heat under your seat.
This man is going in.
I got a phone call. They say that somebody dissing you. Some last shit was tragic. Your second shit put niggas to sleep, but they gassed it.
Oh my God.
What?
Bro, y'all not turning on a Pimp a Butterfly.
To Pimp a Butterfly?
It's a
One of the
album.
most influential albums of the last 10 years, probably. But
Got that shit on my wall.
He said Good Kid, Mad City was classic.
I don't know if it was tragic, bro. It was still cool.
I thought that was a good album.
The nigga album went #1. Go look at the stats.
Oh, shit. Hold on, bro.
Get Dr. Williams.
Oh, switch the beat up.
He gonna switch the beat?
This almost feels like I got enemies. Got a lot of enemies.
Energy by Drake.
Oh no, don't tell me you going in for Drake.
Talk to him, Cole. It's over for that cap. The official cap killers.
Over for that cap. So he's saying Kendrick is capping?
It's 2-6. We don't at niggas. We get at niggas.
I don't know what 2-6 is, but he said, look, cut all the cap.
We don't social media mention. We do none of that. We do this shit in real life.
Right now, Drake's the one acting.
Stat stuff is triple double.
Shoot a nigga's lights out. Yeah, my niggas stat fillers. Called him what? Russell Westbrook. Oh, you just trying to pad your stats.
Body bag, body bag.
He benefited from the attention. He rode the wave. Then, when it got too real, when Kendrick started sharpening his knives, beef is morally wrong, and he's too evolved for such base motivations. The hypocrisy is stunning. But shit, I felt that you left me to hang / I gave you game, recalls Pac's real resentment. He felt like he put Biggie on, gave him wisdom about the game, about how to navigate the industry, about how to carry himself, and then felt abandoned in his darkest hour when he needed that support returned. Cole is channeling genuine pain here, but he's also projecting his own relationship dynamics onto this historical narrative. There's a suggestion that Cole sees himself as someone who was in the game first, who might imagine himself as a teacher type to Kendrick, who gave advice and showed the ropes. But the reality that Cole won't admit is that Kendrick blew past him artistically. Kendrick's vision, his ambition, his willingness to take risks, his conceptual sophistication, all of it surpassed what Cole was doing. So this framing where Pac / Cole is the one who gave game and then was somehow betrayed when Biggie / Kendrick became more successful feels suspect and self-serving. The line, rap for the bitches, I said, saw you switched up your lane, your content resembling mine, it brought you fame, directly channels Pac's accusation that Biggie bit his style and pivoted to a more commercial, player-focused image that Pac had once advised him toward. In the historical narrative, this was Pac claiming that Biggie copied his blueprint and then benefited from it while Pac suffered. But here's where Cole's projection reaches almost comical levels of irony. He's making Pac complain about style biting, while Cole himself has been borrowing from Kendrick's artistic moves for years. The concept album format, the spiritual and philosophical framing, the use of narrative devices and alter egos, the willingness to make commercially risky artistic statements, the reincarnation themes.
Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up?
Your call has been
Just how I feel.
Just bring my car back, man.
These are all things Kendrick pioneered in their generation. For Your Eyes Only wanted to be Good Kid, Mad City. The off-season wanted to recapture the raw competitive fire that Kendrick possesses naturally. And now, What If borrows the reincarnation narrative device that Kendrick just used on GNX, except Cole uses it to talk about other people's beef rather than his own artistic journey. The audacity of Cole making Pac complain about content resembling his, while Cole himself is standing in Kendrick's artistic shadow, copying his conceptual frameworks while accusing him of following trends, is the kind of irony that would be hilarious if it weren't so cynically calculated. I didn't complain, I cheered you on with no disdain, and at the same time, my destiny brought me pain, paints the psychological split. I want to be happy for your success, but watching you win while I'm locked up, broke, and vilified makes that joy feel like salt in an open wound. Cole is showing how love and resentment can exist simultaneously, how you can genuinely want good things for someone while also feeling devastated that their ascent coincides with your descent. It's emotionally sophisticated storytelling, but it's also Cole projecting his own mixed feelings about Kendrick's success. One is hindsight speaking. He's now looking at the bodies, the cultural impact, the way the beef damaged everyone involved, and wishing he'd pulled back. This is Cole positioning himself as the wise one who sees the fallout in real time and therefore refuses to go all out, which implicitly shades Drake and Kendrick and even Big and Pac as less mature, less evolved, less capable of seeing the bigger picture. But Cole's wisdom only manifested after he tested the waters with 7-minute drill, after he measured the public response, after he calculated that being known as the wise one who walked away would be better for his legacy than being known as the one who got bodied by Kendrick. That's not wisdom, that's damage control dressed up as enlightenment. The escalation continues. Suddenly now I got the mob out, / plus a whole side ready to ride, / now I gotta tell 'em stall out, / cause tears fill in my eyes. Cole shows how personal feud turns into tribal war, how once you've mobilized a whole side, you can't call it off without looking weak, how the machine starts running itself beyond any individual's control. But then Pac, moved by Biggie's letter, finally tries to hit the brakes, telling his crew to stand down because tears are filling his eyes. It's the ultimate contrast to Hit 'em Up, anger replaced by grief, ego replaced by love. It's Pac allowing himself to be vulnerable in front of the same crew he once had to impress with aggression. And it's beautiful as an artistic moment, but it's also Cole fantasizing about a version of events where his own philosophy could have prevented tragedy, where emotional honesty and willingness to cry and pull back would have saved lives. He's not honoring who Pac actually was. He's creating a version of Pac who validates J. Cole's choices. The moral thesis arrives. Your letter helped me understand, / the power in love, the choice to be the bigger man, / no shit got out of hand, / I'll take the blame for it. This is the central message Cole wants to deliver. All the cycles of revenge can end if one person chooses love and accountability over ego. Pac accepts full responsibility instead of blaming Biggie, Suge, labels, or the feds. It's Cole giving hip-hop the apology it never got, having Pac say, I started this war and I regret it. And for Cole, that bigger man theme is clearly his own self-image post-Kendrick beef. He wants history to see him as the one who chose love over legend, peace over pride, wisdom over warfare. But the choice to be the bigger man only carries moral weight if you actually had the option to be the smaller man and consciously rejected it. If you retreat because you're outgunned, that's not being the bigger man. That's just being smart about your limitations. Cole wants the moral credit for choosing peace without admitting that choosing war might not have ended well for him. The verse concludes with its most revealing lines. For my mistakes, I couldn't take you getting slain for it. For falling victim to ego, vengeance, and dollar signs. I want to say from the heart, I apologize. Pac admits his own ego and thirst for vengeance created an atmosphere where Biggie's death was possible. He points to ego, vengeance, and money as the real villains that twisted brotherhood into battlefield. It's meant to humanize Pac completely, to strip away all the Machiavelli mythology and just show a man haunted by what his choices cost. And as emotional storytelling, it works. But as a commentary on current hip-hop, it's Cole essentially saying to Drake and Kendrick, you're letting ego and money drive you into choices that kill the culture, while I'm the one.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Regrettably, my friends went to war, I walked away with all their blood on me. Now someone discredit me, try to wipe away my pedigree, but please.
Oh, you wouldn't have. He ain't keeping it a stack, bro. You're not keeping it a one. You're not keeping it a hundo, bro. You're not keeping it a hundo, dog. Because if y'all would have went, it wouldn't have been personal, fam.
And all for what? Just to attain some old props from strangers that don't got a clue what I've been aiming for since the age of 14.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Competing for your favorable memes to be considered best to living.
He's speaking to some tea.
I don't know who you don't say that no more. Who you don't say that most of them?
You teaching them a lesson.
Rest, the weight of both things. I understand the thirst to being first that made them both swing.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. I'm saying.
Perhaps regrettably, my friends went to war, I walked away with all their blood on me. Now someone discredit me, try to wipe away my pedigree, but please.
Someone discredit me, try to wipe away my pedigree.
I would never. I still think you're one of the greatest. I still think you're one of the best rappers in terms of pure rapping too. Even in this, I feel like you're displaying high level of talent.
Just find a nigga out there that's rapping this incredibly.
Here we go again.
I mean, like he said what I'm saying. We can't find somebody rapping this incredibly.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
To me, I share the words he said to me.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't care.
If you refuse to shoot the gun, don't mean the gun ain't deadly.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
I guess in that metaphor, hyper.
So my dog text me and say, hey.
We do not care.
Protecting legacies, so lines got crossed by.
Oh my God.
What? Trying to stop it, which feels absurd when, on the same album, he's throwing aggressive shots at smaller rappers, still declaring himself the best, still benefiting from the infrastructure of competition. The selective application of these supposedly universal principles is what makes the whole moral framework collapse under scrutiny. The final chorus zooms all the way out, no longer just Big and Pac talking, but the entire culture mourning what we lost and fantasizing about a world where they live to grow old. We'd still have them niggas to this day hits like a gut punch because we can all imagine the albums we never got, the collaborations never recorded, the beefs that could have turned into elder statesman alliances, the wisdom they could have shared with younger generations. It's genuine cultural grief, real loss, something every hip-hop head feels when they think about September 1996 and March 1997. But Cole is universalizing the regret while simultaneously sliding his own choices in as the right model that could have prevented it all. He's making the song about all of us while actually making it about him. The outro repetitions of what if, what if, what if turn the phrase into a mantra of regret, the mental loop of fans and friends and family replaying.
Made the song, I'm about to blow up. Did the show when nobody showed up. Used to call me when he got in beef and shit. Now he on these songs talking like he beats this shit.
I need it, punk, bitch. All of a sudden I'm buzzing. Oh, now it's beef, punk, bitch. Gonna pop off, give a fuck about your mystique, punk, bitch.
Of fans and friends and family replaying alternate endings that never came. It's meant to act as a warning for today. Do you want to live in that what-if loop over the current generation too? Or fix it while everyone's alive? But there's something else happening underneath the surface. Cole is low-key talking down to the dead and the living simultaneously. To the dead, he's saying, if you'd had my insight, this wouldn't have happened. To the living, he's saying, learn from my wisdom before it's too late. But his real life choices, ducking top-tier competition, attacking softer targets, declaring victory through strategic retreat, stop anyone paying close attention from taking the moral stance seriously. Final reckoning. What makes What If so frustrating is that it's genuinely well crafted. The production is beautiful, the vocal performances are committed, the concept is compelling. Cole demonstrates real technical skill in inhabiting these voices, in creating emotional resonance, in building a narrative that moves listeners. But underneath all that craft is a fundamentally dishonest project. He's using the unresolved trauma of hip-hop's greatest tragedy to justify his own career decisions. He's speaking through dead men who can't defend themselves or clarify their own stories. He's rewriting history to center his own philosophy as the solution that could have saved everything. The song is less about honoring Biggie and Pac than about creating a parable where J. Cole's choices represent the enlightened path forward. He wants to be seen as the evolved rapper who chooses peace over pride, who apologizes instead of escalates, who sees the bigger picture while others are trapped in ego. But he only discovered this supposed wisdom after testing the waters with Kendrick and calculating that retreat was safer than risk. He preaches unity while throwing subliminals for years. He calls for peace while going nuclear on local rappers who can't fight back on his level. He uses Big and Pac's deaths to explain why he stepped away from Kendrick, as if the two situations were remotely comparable in stakes or context. This is narrative control at its most sophisticated and most morally compromised. Cole has turned tragedy into self-promotion, dressed it up in beautiful production and mournful melodies, and sold it to us as profound wisdom. He's convinced himself and many of his fans that he's actually the wise one, the mature one, the one who learned from history what others couldn't grasp. But the truth is simpler and less flattering. He made a calculated decision to protect his legacy by avoiding a battle he wasn't sure he could win. And then he created an elaborate moral framework to make that calculation look like enlightenment. The question isn't whether What If is a good song. It absolutely is. The question is whether we're willing to accept good songs built on such fundamentally dishonest foundations. Are we willing to let Cole speak for the dead to avoid being honest about the living? Are we willing to buy this version of wisdom that only applies when convenient, that only manifests when facing real competition, that somehow never prevented him from years of sneak dissing and competitive posturing until the moment actual consequences arrived? Cole wants his cake and wants to eat it too. He wants to be respected as a competitor while avoiding the actual competition. He wants to be seen as wise while selectively applying that wisdom only when it protects him. He wants to be the bigger man without admitting he backed down. And most audaciously, he wants to use two dead legends as character witnesses for choices they never made, philosophies they never espoused, and a version of events they never lived. That's not tribute. That's grave robbery with a bow on it. That's using the unburied pain of hip-hop's greatest loss to rebrand your own retreat as transcendent wisdom. That's speaking for people who can't speak back, so you never have to be fully honest about your own motivations. And until we're willing to call that out, until we demand that our artists be as real with us as they claim to be, we'll keep accepting these beautiful lies instead of demanding uncomfortable truths. The line between homage and manipulation, between tribute and exploitation, between wisdom and cowardice is razor thin in hip-hop. What If dances along that line while pretending it's standing firmly on the moral high ground. But anyone who looks closely enough can see the footprints leading back to self-interest, can hear the calculation underneath the emotion, can recognize grave robbery no matter how beautiful the song playing at the funeral. Keep your history honest and your apologies real, because in the end, the culture remembers not just what you say, but what you do. And
wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up